All aboard! Welcome to this week's episode of Maximum Outdoors. This week we are at Oil Creek State Park. I'm here at Petroleum Center, one of the old ghost towns here that were built on oil. You're not going to want to miss this episode. I got all kinds of cool stuff to show you guys this week. All right, YouTube, we are back. I think this is the third or fourth episode of Maximum Outdoors. Today we are in beautiful Venango County, a county that I haven't really been to too many times, but as you can see, we're here at beautiful Oil Creek State Park, one of the top 25 state parks in Pennsylvania. My first time here. Just pulled into the first kind of trailhead that I found. It's called the Blood Farm Interpretive Trail. But yeah, anyway, Venango County, beautiful Oil Creek State Park. And yeah, I think it's going to be a fun day. I did stumble upon this. I've never seen one of these before. It says well 524 and depth, I guess it's 421 foot deep, I'm guessing. So yeah, there's our first sign of the old use of this park before it was reclaimed and made into a state park. So cool. We already found our first abandoned oil well, or capped oil well, but we'll get into the history of the park in a little bit. If you were here back in the 1850s, this would have been full of oil, and from what I heard, pretty flammable. So this area was highly polluted, just like so many other state parks here in Pennsylvania back in the day. And now look at it. Very, very clean stream with a beautiful second growth forest growing all around it. So I'm not going to get into the oil history yet, but yeah, just imagine this whole creek slash river just covered in oil. Probably would have seen the bubbles of oil flowing down this creek hundreds of years ago. So yeah, it's pretty impressive how quick nature can take back over after being so you know, polluted and whatnot. Alrighty, well, only person in the parking lot here at the Blood Farm Interpretive Trail, and I believe this is the start of it. So it's half a mile long, takes about a half an hour, and I guess they got a lot of signs and history along the way. This park is very interactive. They have a lot of displays, and from what I heard, a really nice visitor center, a train station, and more. So probably a great place to take kids and, you know, learn some history. But a lot of state parks don't really offer too much along the lines of like interactive stuff, and it's cool. I mean, they have I think it's 59 or 56 miles of trail here, so it's good for everybody. Fish, hike, canoe, raft, you name it. So yeah. All right, so I'm going to touch a little bit on the history of Oil Creek State Park. So long story short, I'm probably going to butcher some names and dates here, but I believe it was like 1853, a guy named Colonel Edwin Drake, I want to say, came to this area and decided he was going to drill for oil. Now, until that time, nobody ever successfully extracted oil from the ground anywhere in the whole world. Edwin Drake had success right near this area here. He successfully extracted oil for the first time ever in human history. So pretty incredible. Everything that you can think of that runs on oil, you can pretty much credit Mr. Drake there. So pretty incredible. You think everything over in the Middle East and drilling down in Texas and Alaska and everything, well, turns out the first successful oil rig was here in Pennsylvania. Pretty crazy. But long story short, after Edwin Drake found oil here, there was an oil boom. This is the first ever oil boom town here in Titusville, which is just north of here. The town went from, I think it was like 150 residents to 10,000 overnight due to this oil boom. And a lot of people compared it to the gold rush out in California. And where we're at right now, we're walking along the Blood Farm Interpretive Trail, and this area here, known as the Blood Farm, was one of the most successful oil operations in this area from, I think it was 1861 to 1862. They pulled a lot of oil out of this area here. Pretty cool to think of all the history that happened here, and I guess there was a lot of like accidents and stuff, like fires and whatnot. But yeah, here's a little piece of history here from the 1800s. Still, I'd say that's pretty well intact. I don't know if this is where they would kind of store the oil that would come out of the ground. As you can tell, these oil pumps are a little different than what you see nowadays. But and there goes a I don't know what that was. It looked like a flying squirrel. So anyway, a little bit more history about this area. Fires were a big part of what transpired in this area. Back in, I forget what year it was, the 1870s, I want to say, 60 people, men, women, and children died from a tanker that flipped over and caught on fire and killed 60 people. So there's 3 other really notable fires in the area. One, I think it said it burned 200,000 barrels of oil in one day, and it took 3 days to put out. Pretty crazy. So lots of death and destruction in this area. Yeah, the one fire was actually known as Black Friday. That's how crazy it was. One person wrote, whenever you pulled in the area, all you could do was see, smell, and hear oil everywhere you went. And here we go. Some more old remnants from the past here. It's like an old barn. Some more signage, but check this out. I'm not really sure what they used these for back in the day. Maybe just to store oil and whatnot. They got some iron bars. Oh wow, it's a big barrel of oil. Let's see if we can sneak through here a little bit. Check that out. There you have it. More history from this place. I don't know, maybe they would pump oil into there and wait and ship it down river, but yeah, cool. All right, here we are. I think I found the highlight of this trail, maybe even the park. And check out the condition that this is still in. Looks awesome. Peek in there. That's the old, I think, what do they call that? The powering well, I believe. So that would power, I guess, what would drive the well. Take a look in here. You guys see anything in there? And this looks like it was an old pipeline or something. Kind of just looks like an old stable, but it was actually just for oil purposes. Sure, all kinds of critters living here. Hey there, what's up? Got the old barrels here. But yeah, what a place. This is awesome. Wish I knew a little bit more what all this stuff did. Almost looks like it's an old regulator or something. I don't know. Here, this was a gas engine. So they would fire that up. It would start spinning. And then there was a contraption down in this room. I don't know if it's still here or not. But that engine would make, I think they call it like an eccentric something. This guy right here, you can see the bottom of it, how it has like a circular piece on it. That would spin due to the engine pulling it or the powering it. And then these rods would go in each direction, like probably 9 or 10 different directions. And they'd all be attached to a well. And somehow that brought oil to the surface. So that's how this all worked. Pretty interesting. Another thing that I feel like I should probably touch base on is just more of a broader sense of history. So way before oil, back in, you know, the early 1800s, maybe in the 1700s, this was all farm here. Cows, cattle, sheep, chickens. I know I said cows and cattle, but yeah, you get the picture. This is all farms. None of these trees would have been here. We would have been walking through a field. Well, anyway, they struck oil. Some outside millionaires back in the day, you know, $1 million is a lot back in the 1800s, came, bought all this land, put all these wells in, became even richer, and they got the oil out of the ground, and then they had a problem. What did they do with it? So they started shipping it down Oil Creek, which is why Oil Creek is so significant. It's linked up to the Allegheny River, which is linked up to the Ohio River, which is linked up to the Mississippi, which eventually goes into the ocean. So anyway, long story short, they would put all this oil onto little barges ship them down Oil Creek, all the way down to Pittsburgh, where basically it would fuel the machine, the Industrial Revolution. So this place here, seemingly in the middle of nowhere, really helped build America. Something pretty crazy to think about. So sitting here in the rain, waiting for my time lapse to wrap up. And I was just taking a look around, and a bald eagle happened to fly on down this valley here and land up in that dead tree. These GoPros aren't the best in seeing things that are far away, but it stands up pretty good. I hear a deer too now. But there's a big dead tree down along the river there, and I don't know if you can see the white head of the bald eagle down there, but he's down there regardless. But yeah, all kinds of awesome wildlife today. Saw deer, bald eagle, snakes, gunshots, all kinds of birds. You name it. It's a good day. All right, well, that's going to wrap up this episode of Maximum Outdoors here from Oil Creek State Park. Being it was my first time here, really enjoyed it. All kinds of wildlife today, ton of history. I couldn't even really scratch the surface of all the history and whatnot this park offers. Definitely going to have to come back up here and do another trail or two. There is a lot of stuff that I've seen up here that I wish I could have seen today. There's a cemetery, and then that Gerald Trail, 36 miles. So hey, maybe I'll come up and backpack that in the near future. But overall, excellent park. Really liked it. But until next time, we will see you next week here on Maximum Outdoors. All right, guys, well, this is going to wrap up this episode of Maximum Outdoors. Hopefully you enjoyed Oil Creek as much as I did. Hopefully you learned something. And yeah, stay tuned to see where I head next week. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. Peace.